Hello, my name is Amaris Ray. I'm the VP of Coffee for Joe Coffee Company in New York City, and I'm sharing this video from my home in Sunset Park in South Brooklyn. So I'd like to introduce you today to the coffee you're about to enjoy. It's a coffee from Ethiopia, produced by a women's group called Atnago. They're from the Limu region of the Jimma region in Oromia, Ethiopia. And this is the first time we've ever purchased this coffee, so it's a really exciting year for us at Joe as well. I'm going to share a little bit with you about how I brewed it, and then I'll talk to you a little bit about the coffee and the people behind it. So this morning I brewed this coffee on the April brewer. I just used the standard recipe, which is about a 1 to 16, I think. It's 24 grams of coffee to 400 grams of water, and I used the really basic sort of recommended April brewer recipe with pulses. I'm not a particularly adventurous brewer in the morning first thing when I need my coffee. Oh man, and it's so delicious. So this morning I picked up a lot of notes of candied citrus. There's some orange blossom, grapefruit. There's also a lot of honey and oolong. There's a really nice floral quality, like a little bit of gardenia, not quite jasmine, but it's really nice, high floral, just a really beautiful coffee. In the aftertaste, there's a lot of like vanilla extract, so it gets a little bit sweeter as you swallow, which is a really nice thing. Sometimes high citrus coffees can be really sharp. This is just a really beautifully sweet, washed coffee. So to tell you a little bit more about the people behind the coffee, this is our first year buying this coffee, as I mentioned, and one of the reasons it's made possible is through an importer called Artisan Coffee Imports. We've been buying coffee with Artisan Coffee Imports for many years now, since about 2018, because of our sourcing values. At Joe, we have 4 sourcing values. We have quality, collaboration, ethics, and integrity. And especially when it comes to buying coffee from some African countries where it's just a little difficult for us to know very much because of cultural fluency. Sometimes the systems are intentionally opaque, and often for good reason, but sometimes it can work against our understanding of what it means to pay a fair price or have a positive impact through our coffee purchases. Artisan Coffee Imports has always given us a lot of context and transparency for the work that they do, which we have been so grateful to have. It builds a lot of education for us. We can share it with our teams and our customers and have a little bit better opportunity to understand the coffee landscape, and especially for us, what gender equity looks like in a given place. We've been really fortunate to work with Artisan Coffee on understanding gender equity in other countries. We primarily purchase from Rwanda with them. And so it's been really interesting for us to learn the contrast between what it looks like to have a gender balanced leadership between Rwanda and Ethiopia. And though it's not always fruitful to make comparisons, it's really interesting for us to be able to kind of stretch our understanding and get a little bit more insight into what a certain coffee supply stream looks like. So Artisan Coffee Imports has been really amazing. They are the true example of collaboration when it comes to sourcing, and they've been able to teach us quite a lot. For example, it's really wonderful to be able to learn from them that in order to produce a washed coffee in Ethiopia, obviously this may be common knowledge, but to learn specifically what it looks like, you have to have a lot of access to capital to maintain and staff a washing station. And of course, it's not as common to have gender balanced leadership in Ethiopia, especially at the washing station level. So for this coffee to be women produced, to have this coffee separated, maintained as separate lots and washed and sold separately, it's really special. It's extra special. So for us, this is our first step into really understanding the gender equity landscape in Ethiopia. And we're also proud to learn that the Ethiopia Women's Coffee Association, the IWCA chapter there, was able to change the law when they started and they established in about 2018. They actually had to lean on the wife of the president to be able to really get their organization up and running, because until then, the law did not permit an organization to have leadership that did not involve a male on the board. So that's an amazing step. Now it's possible for all organizations in Ethiopia to have only female leadership. And that's sort of out of the efforts of people who are striving for more gender equity in the country where they live, which is an inspiration. So we're very proud to support this coffee, and we're really, really inspired by the work of artisan coffee imports and looking forward to many more years of buying this coffee from the Atnago Women's Group in the future. Cheers.